Million is a brand of Road to Million show. My tribe over here is watching me through Facebook. The tribe is watching on YouTube, and Daron Campbell, road2amillionShow.com is where we live. So you can Google Daron Campbell, or you can Google Road to a Million Show, and you'll find us. Multiple platforms, multiple formats, lots of ways to watch. So we have been learning a lot of cool things in the past couple of weeks, and it's been an interesting ride, because every day I come up with, like, okay, what are we going to talk about next time? And there's like 100 things that I want to talk about. And today I decided that we're going to go and talk about, we're going to continue on that mastery, that quest for mastery. We're going to continue on that journey towards mastery, because I think it's an underutilized term. I think mastery is an underutilized term. I think it's an under-recognized concept, and it's an under-prepared for goal. Mastery. It's a word that we all ought to have tattooed on our forehead. I want to be the master of my environment. I want to be the master of my body. I want to be the master of my brain, my body, and my bank account, which usually means mastery of one's self. And you know what that'll bleed into? You know what that bleeds into? That bleeds into the way you eat. That bleeds into the way you work on your job. That bleeds into the way you look at everything you do. And I think not enough of us demand enough of ourselves and of our children. And I think mastery ought to be the key word. Mastery ought to be the key word. And if you start to adjust the way you approach life and the way you approach everything you do, if you think of it in terms of, I want to do this on a level of mastery, then your actions will change. And we're going to get into that, because there's some concepts that I think will help you gravitate towards this concept called mastery. It'll help you aim your life in this concept towards this concept towards mastery. And I mean, the thoughts are swirling, so I'm gonna jot them down as I get them. I got all these pages of notes, and then I started talking, and then I don't even go to the notes. It's kind of crazy, right? I got 5 pages of notes. The other day I had 7 pages of notes to talk to you guys about, and I didn't get through half of the first page. We just started talking, and the conversation just kind of spawns and goes where it goes. So anyway, it's all about mastery today, and we're going to talk about those things that might contribute to mastery that you're not thinking about. And let's just start with the concept. When you think about mastery, what images come to your mind? Let's talk about that for a second. You know, a lot of people don't even include that in their literal vocabulary or their mental vocabulary. And I think it's a mistake, because I heard this concept that's interesting. In order for this guy broke this down in an interesting way, and it gets a little bit graphic or what have you, but what the hell? Let's talk about it. Life is like this competition, and everything you do has a competitive edge to it. If you're really trying to be great, if you're trying to be great, there's like this competition going on in your head. But I heard this guy speak recently, and he said, "Well, you were born to win. You're born to win the race, and the reason." And then he goes further and says, "Not only were you born to win the race, you were born because you won the race." And he was likening that to the 300 million sperm that were racing to get to that egg to fertilize the egg. I told you this was going to get a little graphic. And you won. That particular sperm that became the fertilized egg that married the fertilized egg, that became you. So you won the very first race of your life. You're here because of the victory that you experienced before you were even born. You were conceived, and then you ran a race against 300 million others, and you won the race. So you start out being victorious. First thing that happened to you was you won. And ever since then, you know this to be true, I'm sure of it. Ever since you were born, the concept of being the best or being the greatest or being phenomenal, it's we love the idea of greatness. We absolutely cherish the idea of spectacular. We go in thousands and thousands. We go in droves of thousands to see spectacular people and to see spectacular performances by who? By masters. Think about it like that. We all, for many, many, many of us who aren't masters at a particular thing will pay a whole lot of money to go and see a master do what they do. Now think about that for a second. Think about how in your life, in how many ways you have settled for mediocrity, settled for just okay. And then think on the other hand, how many thousands of dollars you've spent to go and see an impresario, to go and see a master, to go and see a Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan perform, to go and see a Pavarotti perform, to go and see an Oprah Winfrey show. Think about how enamored we are with mastery. And the unfortunate thing is mastery has become like such the wild exception to the rule, and mediocrity has become the rule. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the poison in society, in my opinion. Mediocrity is okay. And mastery is kind of like, no. Let me back up. Not mastery, but the quest for mastery has become this thing of ridicule or of, I don't know, people like to poo-poo the attempt for greatness. How ridiculous is that? We like to clown people, or we like to give people a hard time for deciding that they want to be great. Whoa, think about that one. Have you been lulled into this fog called mediocrity? Have you been like bamboozled by the crowd and society to feel comfortable with the mediocre crowd? I'm talking about your job. I'm talking about your physicality. I'm talking about your financial status. You notice I just mentioned your brain, your body, and your bank account. Listen, are you settling for mediocrity in any of those departments, or all of those departments? Even worse. Think about it. Think about how, as a society or as a group, we have found it okay to be mediocre, to be average. And that one outlier, that person who is saying, no, I'm not going to the party because I got work to do, or no, I can't hang out because I gotta go work out, or no, you know what, I'm not sleeping in because I'm on a physical mission. I'm on a mission to get my body into its best shape of my life. Now think about those people, and those people in those instances and those times when it's been us and those times when it hasn't been us, and think about the negative pressure that we sometimes put on those kinds of decisions by people. Think about how the crowd kind of clowns the kid who stays at home to study instead of coming out to the party. Think about that. But now, on the flip side of that coin, think about how we all line up to see somebody when they become great, or how we clamor to buy something from someone who's built something great. Think about that for a second and decide where it is you're living. What's your world made up? What are you on a quest for? Or are you absolutely being mediocre? Are you okay being mediocre? And are you constantly making excuses for yourself about why this mediocrity is okay? Oh my goodness. Did we talk about outwitting the devil? Let's talk about that book, Outwitting the Devil. I've mentioned it before. I might have even mentioned it on the last show. But Outwitting the Devil is this book by Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich. And he wrote that book, I got to say, it was like 1920 or 1919. Long, long time ago. And the book was very controversial. Matter of fact, his publishing company and his wife basically convinced him not to write the book or not to release the book. And the reason they convinced him to not release the book is because they said it was going to be so controversial. It was going to be so frowned upon by society, so maligned by the mainstream. Man, you hear all those words? I mean, all those terms, the mainstream, society, and culture. Those are other words. Those are euphemisms. Those are substitute words for the fat and the lazy, the broke and the downtrodden. You know, the crowd. They're gonna frown on it. The crowd's not gonna like it. Well, okay. So let me tell you more about the book. The book talks about, and the reason the book was going to be so controversial at that time was that in the book, the book is about the author, who's Napoleon Hill. He's having a conversation with the devil. And that was the first controversial thing with the devil. Oh, ooh, taboo. It's the book about him talking to the devil. Oh my God, everyone will be terrified. Okay, now we got past that nonsense. And so in this intelligent book, brilliantly written book, the author is having a conversation with the devil. And the rules of the conversation are that he can ask the devil anything he wants, and the devil has to answer authentically, right? And so as the story goes, it's very interesting because it's written kind of in story form, but it's brilliant because what he asks is, he asks the devil, like, what is it that is your greatest weapon? And the devil talks to him about what the greatest weapon he has. And the greatest weapon that he has, this is crazy, you're not going to believe this, the greatest weapon that he has is called drifting. And so it's, in a word, it's called complacency, basically. Complacency is the devil's greatest weapon against mankind. And he goes, what are you talking about, complacency? Well, isn't it like, isn't it getting people to murder other people, or isn't it getting people to... He goes, no. He goes, the biggest disease that mankind has is this disease called drifting. He goes, the greatest power against me is determination. It's people that have a goal and a quest and a mission and are doing something meaningful with their lives. And the author goes, are you serious? He goes, yeah. You see, the best thing for me is to have people have no mission, no dream, no goal, no objective. Those people sit around and they don't advance any causes, and they just go with the crowd, and that's the greatest service people can do for me. He goes, the opposite of that person is somebody who's on a mission, who's determined to do something, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but that determination to do something meaningful is the greatest weapon that's the only weapon that can defeat me, people with a purpose. And so what I want to do, this is the devil talking, what I want to do is I want to get everybody to just drift. and be complacent and not care and just go la-di-da, I'm going to do what the crowd does. He goes, and then here's a funny thing here. Check this out. The devil said in this book, he said, you want to know who the greatest ambassadors of my mission are? This is going to mess you up. He said the greatest ambassadors of what I want to happen in that society are the schools and the churches. Whoa! Hold on a second, devil. I thought the churches were the opposite of what you wanted. He goes, no. The churches are just what I want to happen. He goes, you see, the churches actually help. The average church actually helps my mission, and the average school helps my mission. And the author goes, what are you talking about? How could that possibly be? And the devil said it's because the churches teach everyone to be meek, be humble, do what everyone else is doing, and don't be overly ambitious. As a matter of fact, if you are a nice, meek, humble person and do nothing in this life, then you'll get all your rewards in the next life. And so, and that life is just, a land of milk and honey, and it'll just be all wonderful. And so don't strive for greatness in this life. Just, be a humble servant, be a faithful servant, and you'll get your rewards in another life. And in this interview, the devil goes, that's the greatest thing anybody could do to help me out. Make a bunch of complacent people who just go to a building and sit there and listen to somebody else, talk at them, and listen to somebody else throw blessings out on them and, kind of lull them to sleep instead of inspiring them to get up and do something and make some change and make something positive happen. He goes, they're doing my work. Hey, I see cousin Lisa. My cousin Lisa's checking us out. Everybody shout out my cousin Lisa. What's up, Lisa? Love you. Okay, so check this out. Then he says, the schools are really, really doing my bidding for me. And the author goes, what are you talking about? The schools are doing your work for you. It's because the schools have been designed to create drifters and followers and complacent people. And he goes, how is that? I thought the schools were teaching people to be smart. He goes, no. He goes, any school that wants to teach all the kids all the same information and wants to judge them by seeing how much of that information they can simply spit back out or regurgitate to me, it's just teaching no independent thought. It's not teaching people to go and create something that never was. That's teaching people to think the same, hear the same information, spit it back out to me on this test just the way I gave it to you, or you're bad. If you don't recite this back to me the same way I gave it to you, then you're bad and I'm going to give you an F. Not, hey, what do you think that really meant to you? What did this action in history mean to you? Or what does this mathematical equation inspire you to think about? No. That's not the way we teach. We teach everybody in this room better hear this information just the way I gave it to you, and you better give it back to me on the test just the way it's supposed to be given, and there's no creative thought whatsoever. How about that? And the devil in this book, Outwitting the Devil, says that's the best thing to serve my purposes that your society could do. He goes, you know what would really hurt me, damage me, is if a school inspired original thoughts. If the school told the kids and the students, hey, take this concept, now go and develop and come back with a new idea because of it. Take this philosophy and come and put your spin on it and come back with something creative to tell me about. Take what happened in history and tell us how you can learn from that and make sure we don't make that mistake again. That, he says, would be a very, very advancement-oriented way of educating people. Not the current way that we do it, because he says, look at what you're doing. Because you're giving kids this regimented, or giving students this regimented education. You're trying to get them all to learn the same thing. And now your society is trying to ship them all off to a college. Everyone goes to grade school, then to high school. If you want to go further, you go to college. And nowhere in that entire food chain is somebody saying, hey, think original. Do something totally different that's never been done. Say something that's never been said. Philosophize on an original thought. Give me an original concept. Go home and come back with an original brainchild. And so, as the story goes, it turns, it's an enlightenment for the author, Napoleon Hill, that we are serving the devil's purpose. Now, so this was written metaphorically, but maybe not. You see, what his point was that the greatest harm that we could do to ourselves and our children is to make them like every other child and to make them, try to learn the exact same thing as everyone else and then come out and try to get a job and live a life just like everyone else. And so that leads us back to my concept of mastery and why that ought to be something that we all should be thinking about or striving for, because it's the masters that make meaningful change in the world. And it's the masters that we follow, we worship, we hold on this pedestal. And if you think about that, that's where real change happens, out there on the edge where the masters have created something or created some concept. Look at who we hold in high esteem right now. Look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk is coming up with concepts that people, 20 years ago never even fathomed. Think about that. The innovators. Think of the people like Steve Jobs while he was alive. He thought of things that many of us couldn't conceptualize. I mean, Michael Jordan flew in a way we didn't think a human could fly. It's so crazy, right? We never thought we'd see a basketball player do these things, and it's because he put himself on a different level. He desired to go somewhere and be somewhere and do something that no one had ever done, and he wanted to do it better than anyone who had ever done it, and that started with a quest for mastery. So what's your quest? Do you have one? Or are you just kind of drifting? Man, that book Outwitting the Devil is something that you should read. I'm going to encourage you to check it out. That's kind of like the book of the month. You guys really should get that book and read it. It's going to enlighten you in a huge way and in an entertaining way. It's an easy read in the sense that you'll be entertained because you can't wait to hear what the guy says next or what the devil says next. And so I recommend it highly. Now, we're going to talk about the process of mastery. We're going to take a short break in a minute, but when we get back, we're going to talk about mastery and how the process works so that you can predictably grow towards mastery. A lot of people don't think that's possible, but you can predictably grow towards mastery, and we're going to talk about how that happens. And thanks for being here. I'm Daron C. Campbell, the hardest working man in real estate, your real estate mentor. We're all headed to the top. Is a brand approach to